May 10th, 2024. Now that the shed's been built, I'm going to move this onto the platform over there. And just like that, this is the currant and similar typed berries bed. Got some black currants. Got some pink champagne currants. And we've got some other plants. Black currant is just covered in flowers this year. It's quite remarkable, frankly. This was another one that had the wood eaten the first year, but I protected it. And this year, ooh. And here's the shocking part. There's a smell. There's actually a fragrance. I didn't think that would be the case when you get really close. She's a stinker. It's not a bad smell. It's just unexpected. In contrast, assuming I got my berries right, oh hello, it's already started to form. Holy crap. Contrast, the pink champagne flowers are very different. Look at that. I didn't realize it was fruit starting already. This is awesome. Although last year the black currants took forever to ripen, so wow, exciting. Huh. Here we have some Sebastian gooseberries, that's what they're called. No flowering yet. It's leafing up nicely. It was transplanted last fall, so I'm just happy it survived. In the back there we have a, whatever it's called, I'll show it on the screen. It's a cross between black currants and gooseberries. And then we have this thorny little bastard over here. Forget what it's called. I was going to harvest some asparagus, but due to a late frost, some of them didn't make it. By the time I got back to things, it had grown. I swear these things are growing a foot every day. It's kind of absurd, actually. Even though I might not be harvesting it this year. It makes for a good ornamental plant. It'll just be stronger next year. The bees are out. The flies are out. The mosquitoes are out. Spring has arrived. The things are finally starting to leaf out, to flower. And in the case of my pink currants, fruiting out. Started planting some things into the herb garden. Still early days. Parsley's been planted. Got some cilantro. Some sage in the back there. Oregano and the thyme seem to be coming back. Here we've got some low-growing sedum. I actually thought I transplanted this somewhere else last year. I guess I missed some. Pretty neat. I like cool-looking ground covers. I got a shed. Goodbye, old shed. A lot of acorns. The rhubarb has made a triumphant return. I'll be harvesting it for the first time this year. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do with it. Do I make pie? Because then I need to learn how to make a pie crust. We'll see. Victoria rhubarb, planted in 2022, has a 2-year, second-year root. Glaskin's perpetual rhubarb. Started this one from seed. Bit of struggle, but it seems to be coming back now. And we've got the Haskaps. Finally, I'm actually getting some blooms on it. After 2 years of being eaten by rabbits, we finally got some second-year wood. Haskap flowers. The peonies are making a triumphant return. This one's at least 15 years old. I'll probably be splitting it up next season. I don't actually recall what varieties they are. I believe they are pink, large and pink. Shows up, gets walked on by a bunch of ants, and then disappears. Thus is the life of the peony. As for the rest of the garden, the raspberries are back again. Primarily red raspberries. I don't recall the variety, but there it is on the screen. And then we've got one black raspberry. Now, I've read online that you shouldn't plant the reds and the blacks together, but I like to live dangerously. Blueberries are not dead. We'll see how they do this year. In the old shed. Give myself a roof. Harder sides. Get that heat going. 2024 project. Clean this area up. There's a couple of trees growing here. We'll figure out what we want to keep. Clean up the rest. I'm trying a variety of things in this particular bed that I created. It's actually about 2 feet deep underground. Back when I thought I was a hugelculture expert in my 3rd year of growing. I'm not. Just a gardener. Trying different things. So what are we trying this year? We've got some kale, which grows pretty much anywhere, so it might be a winner. It's like a strawberry plant in the middle there. And they'll probably grow tomato plants up this particular pole here. I've got too many tomatoes. Well, I don't have too many tomatoes. I don't have enough room to grow them. So we'll put them where we can get them. This raspberry decided to appear. It's quite impressive. I'm getting raspberries 3, 4, 5 feet away from the original one. Leeks. This is the 3rd year they're coming back. Beautiful flowers. The bugs love them. Lots of buzzing. Planted some shallots, little onions, last year. I don't remember if I forgot to harvest them or they just weren't great, so I left them in the ground intentionally. Regardless, I'm hoping for seeds this year, so I can plant those next year. We'll see what happens. What are these called? Ornamental peas? You don't eat them? They look pretty. Those things. We'll see if they sprout. Well, they did sprout, but we'll see if they actually grow correctly. I got some leeks spread out here and there. And back there we've got a boysenberry. This got eaten partially down by the rabbits last year. Well, over winter. Enough of it survived that it's bigger than it was last year. I haven't actually had boysenberries before. If they're not good, the plant's coming out. Time for some clearance. If you haven't seen Airplane, you should see it.
Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes, curtains in the window, and wheels.
The movie. Not The Thing in the Sky. Although it is about the thing in the sky. Green onions keep coming back. I believe that is red dragon. Green dragon? It's green onion. Mild flavor. I'm actually growing multiple types of green onions this year. I want to figure out what I actually like. Here we've got some Nebuka green onions. I believe this is another Welsh Parade, Irish Parade something. We got some definite Welsh Parade down here. And just your everyday chives. And in the corner bottom right, we got some garlic chives, which turns out actually tastes like garlic. I didn't even know this. And then we've got some Ishiko green onions. We got some peas growing up here. Now that the weather's getting warmer, they're starting to take off. Nothing complicated, just some, what do I have? I got some alderman peas, I got some yellow colored peas, and I got some purple colored peas. Shelling, snap, and Snoopy. My sweet listens have been planted. I'm hoping they spread nicely this year. Got an echinacea under the tree back here. I was thinking of moving it, but I've decided to leave it there. It doesn't grow as tall because of the shade from the tree once it leaves out, but it adds a nice point of interest. Over here we have some purple alyssum. Look at that, it's so beautiful. And then some black yellows right beside it. I gotta clean this up, fill it up with water for the birds. Meanwhile, this $10 fountain I got on Amazon 2 years ago was forgotten outside over winter. It's still running. How awesome is that? As soon as the water started defrosting, it started started spritzing out water. Here's some more sedum, stone crop, whatever you want to call it. Particular variety. I can tell you because I memorized it, not because there's a label right beside it. It's called red carpet. I don't see any red so far. We'll see what happens. Black violas. Cool in concept, but I had some red salvia that didn't sprout. I was hoping to interplant them to kind of contrast. So right now it's just kind of black on dirt. Still pretty, just not from afar. This appears to be a blackhead season. I actually have to check my footage from last year to see if I actually had one here or not.
Show me what you got!
Most of these are blackhead seasons. Or butterfly weed. We'll see. Maybe it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B. But I know black-eyed Susans are usually a bit furry. But then Some of these leaf patterns are similar to other butterfly weeds. Time will tell. I know they're not a weed. It's one or the other. More listen. It's pretty. All three of the hardy kiwis have come back. I got 2 girls and a boy in the middle. They're leafing out. It's awesome. Similar to other plants rabbits got in the prior year. So this is going to be their 3rd, maybe 4th year. But they're actually finally getting actual growth now. Their roots are probably doing great, but this is the first time I'm getting 2nd year wood. My understanding is that they fruit on 3rd year wood, but that could only potentially happen after 4 or 5 years of initial growth. We'll see what happens. Garlic is here, growing well. Planted last fall, September-ish. Also got some lettuce types planted. I've got about 15-ish types of lettuce. I want to figure out which one I like and narrow it down. So I'm trying several varieties this year. Got some radicchio here, it's finally starting to show some color. I thought I actually had the wrong plant, because it was all green. I wasn't seeing any red, but there it is, red, starting to show up. Beyond that, I got some carrot seeds in here. They will presumably sprout, hopefully in the next few days. This bed, beets, a couple of red onions, the one that survived. Well, it's not a complete disaster. It just means I'll have more room for carrots and other things.
I will remember you.
And more lettuce types, some purple top turnips, and several types of radishes. Similar to lettuces, I've got a lot of different types of radish seeds. I want to narrow it down, figure out which ones I like, if any. I've been generally disappointed with radishes. As for the other raised garden beds, now that I've extended the beds on both sides, I've planted a bunch of potatoes on the outer edge here. I've got some, and I'm going to butcher these names, I promise you. Sieglinde, white potatoes. Apparently they have a very creamy texture. We've got some Russian blue fingerling tomatoes, fingerling potatoes, French fingerlings, and unidentified fingerlings. And up at the end there, some russets. Nothing's popped out of the soil yet, but we'll see where it goes. I've added a bit of a barrier for part of this year to see if that helps the potatoes stay on this side so they don't grow into all the strawberries. I've got strawberries interplanted throughout the yard. I haven't decided what the best location is for the strawberries yet, so I'm trying different spots. Given how easily they spread, I've got plenty to spare. This may end up being my primary strawberry bed. I just have a hard time saying I've got 2 raised beds. I'm going to dedicate one entirely to strawberries. Something I only get harvest from for 1 month out of the year. Maybe if I could get some good ever-bearing varieties, I could motivate myself to maybe fill at least 1 bed or a third of a bed with only them. Spinach is starting to grow real well. I'll have to start thinning that out soon. Arugula. Got lots of arugula. To be planted marigolds. In the middle is mint I planted this season from having started inside, but everything around that is mint from last year that's coming back. I honestly did not think it would survive, especially given it was in a pot, but I guess what they say about mint is true. Once it's there, it's just there forever. Mint will still be around when the cockroaches have died off. I got myself some fruit trees. I got a peach tree, 4-in-1 apple, and a 4-in-1 plum. The peach tree is starting to leaf out. Meanwhile, one of my strawberries is already blooming. I know I have at least 3 types of strawberries in here. Well, on my property at least. And then we've got the apple tree. I was actually worried for a while because no leaves yet. However, over the last few days, I've started noticing some buds. And finally, our 4-in-1 plum. Now, I've heard from some people on the internets and elsewhere that 4-in-1s or how many in ones are generally a bad idea. Maybe they are. I'll find out. Maybe I'll decide that I like 2 of the apples and I'll graft them under a new rootstock. They'll get their own rootstock and they'll be just a 1-in-1. We'll see. Assuming this survives long enough to fruit. These didn't come up last year. I'm glad they came up this year. My relocated greenhouse. We've got some amaranth. Lots of amaranth. Several types of amaranth. Turns out when you don't plant too many of them, amaranth is actually surprisingly thick-stemmed. I'm not complaining. Just the one I grew last year was just a bunch of seeds in a pot. And it looked cool. But the stems were all small. Plenty to plant still. It's just not warm enough for all these to go out. Some of them can go out. I just don't have the room. Some of these are being given away. Meanwhile, inside, it's basically all peppers and tomatoes now. There's a celery there in the corner, but beyond that, the rest of these will be coming out in about 2 weeks. They'll get about a week in the greenhouse to get accustomed to the outdoor weather. That's worked so far pretty well for me. I guess my grow lights are powerful enough, and I've got a good breeze going in there. Things are looking good. Looking green. Less brown. which is great because that means less paw cleaning when my dog comes in.
If there's an intelligence there, I want it to know there's an intelligence here.
What is this?
A center for ants? What?